You know, I love podcasting. I have since 2006, back when you had to use like a Dixie cup with string to make the thing work. And that's why I'm so excited that we recently moved Mysterious Goings On to Anchor FM to record our podcast. I gotta tell you, I don't regret it a bit. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Not going to lie to you, when I first heard about Anchor, I was a little dubious because I've been doing it the hard way for so long. But I got to tell you, it's very easy. Use a Stripe account. Get sponsors. You're not paying monthly hosting fees. The sound quality is great. The distribution is phenomenal. Friends, download the free Anchor app today if you want to start your own podcast, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Remember, you heard it here first on Mysterious Goings On.
Welcome to Mysterious Goings On. I am your host, J. Alexander Greenwood. It's Chapter 18, Shock That Monkey. I had the great fortune of going to the Peter Gabriel Sting Rock, Paper, Scissors tour in Chicago recently. It was an incredible experience. I've liked Sting since the Police days and seen him many, many times. And I've loved Peter Gabriel's music since I was in high school. But I'd never seen him perform live before, and I'd lost a little bit of track of him the past few years, but I had most of his original solo albums and just absolutely adored what he did. So going to the concert was a major treat. Something fun did happen, by the way. Had pretty lousy seats, went with some friends, but it's about 5 minutes till showtime, and we're up in the nosebleeds, and everybody's making fun of the seats. And I got the seats because I bought the tickets, and then everybody paid me back and all that. But, you know, nobody on our budget, nobody could afford to get right down in front or anything like that. Well, 5 minutes before showtime, people from the United Center, the venue there in Chicago, came up to us and said, "Are you all together?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Would you come with me, please?" And I'm like, what, did we do something wrong? You know, I'm kind of half joking, and I had a couple of drinks, and I was just having a little fun with him. And I said, look, if I got out of line, you know, ha ha ha. And actually, no. Turns out they had some empty seats in section 100, which was on the left side of the stage, and we were about, I guess, 3 rows up. So literally, if there weren't noise, you know, I could have yelled, "Hey Sting," and he would have heard me, or "Hey Peter," and he would have heard me when he was coming on and off the stage. They were fantastic seats. We could see everything going on stage, admittedly from the side, but it was still very cool. And then we could look up, and there's a huge Jumbotron type screen just over our shoulder, so it was very easy to kind of toggle between the two. So it was a phenomenal concert. Sting and Peter Gabriel are just such... They were naturals, which I didn't think that would necessarily be the case, but they were absolutely naturals playing. And if you didn't catch the tour, which was brief, I'm so sorry for you if you're a fan of either one. But I do hope it is, and I mean sincerely, I will pay top dollar to get a DVD of the concert, and definitely the audio, because the music was incredible. And hear, you know, Peter Gabriel do, you know, like a Barry White version of "If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free." And then to hear Sting do "Shock the Monkey," and they played together and they sang back up for each other. It wasn't like they played, one person played and the other one's, you know, then went off stage and disappeared and the other one played. It wasn't like that. It was kind of like a meshing of two bands, and just really incredible. But speaking of Shock the Monkey, I was taken by when I heard Sting singing "Shock the Monkey," and he did a fine rendition of it. But I revisited "Shock the Monkey" and a lot of the other Peter Gabriel music that I heard at the concert, in the subsequent passing weeks since then. And Shock the Monkey has really stood out to me, particularly as I'm writing a new book, a new John Pilot mystery novel. And, the concept, if you're unfamiliar with the Peter Gabriel song Shock the Monkey, which came out in the early to mid-'80s, it's not about animal rights. A lot of people think that, or it's not about monkeys. It is a love song that examines how jealousy can release your basic instincts. The monkey's not literally a monkey. It's a metaphor for feelings of jealousy. And I have to say that that's a theme that's going on in my writing right now with my main character. There's some situations there I won't go into right now. Still work in progress on that. But, and sorry to get a little political here, but I'm going to. If you don't want to hear my politics, you're free, of course, to turn off the podcast and delete it. I posted something about this on the John Pilot Mysteries Facebook page, which is facebook.com/John Pilot Mysteries, easy to find. And I said, today's political campaign reminds me of Shock the Monkey, which is about feeling jealous, threatened, and helpless. That's my interpretation. And thus igniting the primal aggressive survival impulse nestled in the amygdala. In essence, one presidential campaign has succeeded in shocking the monkey of people by feeding them a steady diet of fear of that which is the other. As I said there, this is incredibly dangerous, and overcoming primal impulses is the key to the survival of the human race. But that is easier said than done. Thousands of years of evolution have instilled in us, a certain reaction to the fear response. So if you're not trying to use your intellect if you don't use your intellect to reason with yourself, you may find that your monkey gets shocked, your primal urge, and your fear response comes out. I'm seeing that a lot in this election cycle from one candidate who's very much pumping fear at people. There's a alleged news channel that's been around for about 20 years that has specialized in pumping people full of fear. Well, although the media in general, I think, does a great job of that. Just watch your local news for any length of time, and you'll find out that apparently, people are being shot left and right, which sadly that is true. But there'll be robberies, there'll be bizarre deaths, there'll be strange things. You don't get a whole lot of happy news from your local news, and that's because mayhem sells. And human beings are wired to respond to mayhem and to respond to aggression and to respond to fear. And that is, again, as I said earlier, where our intellect has to come into play, where we have to reason with fear and we have to reason with our emotions. We have to reason with that primal instinct that when we fear something, it's fight, flight, fawn, or what the other things are. But you have to develop a means to use reason and a means to develop strategies for certainly being afraid when it's called for, but not letting others cry wolf and make you afraid. I think that too often people outsource their thinking. They outsource their thinking to the news, or the news media, or a political candidate, or a church, or an authority figure, or and I think that that's dangerous. I think one of the greatest dangers to our country and to the world is a very obvious lack of critical thinking amongst many human beings. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm not by any means a deep thinker, or I'm not by any means a master, logician. But I try very hard to apply logic and reason, and I try to think for myself, and I try also to use empathy to understand what somebody who disagrees with me is saying. I try to hear what they're saying, but I also can see a lot of the times where people get their ideas. In the fiction, so how we bring this back to this chapter, in the fiction, I think it's a very effective tool to have events that cause your main characters, or whether they be your hero or your antagonist or your protagonist, whoever, you have things that shock that monkey, and you show that. I really hate two-dimensional characters. Every character in every book, I try to write them as if they, as most human beings do, we're all the hero in our own story. And almost none of us think of ourselves as a villain. So I try not to write a villain as a villain. I try to write the villain as somebody who has their own motivations and their own life circumstances that make them the way they are. Things that have caused them on a base level to shock that monkey or to do things that society would frown upon. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with that. This does touch on politics, and it's a kind of a third rail with a lot of people. They don't come to me as a writer of fiction to hear what I think about politics. But I think it's important to consider in your real life motivations of people and what they do and the effect it has on you and your community, and then apply that to your fiction. As a writer and as a reader, apply that. If you're reading a book or a short story or whatever, or watching a TV show, and the writing is so plainly, the villain is so snidely whiplash, so completely out of central casting for a bad guy, that kind of stuff just turns me off right away. It's the same thing with the hero. If the hero is perfect and the hero is constantly, checking his hair in the mirror and, got the shirt buttoned down and, unbuttoned down in the middle and, all the chicks dig him or whatever, that kind of thing. That turns me off too, because that's not real. John Pilot, the lead character in my series, he's an incredibly flawed human being. He has a lot of problems. He has battles with depression. He has battles with his internal dialogue. Maybe he may experience an issue with drinking problem, I think. I think he likes to drink a lot, and maybe more than is healthy. He's also entering midlife and not thrilled about it and not sure how to handle it. And he's also conflicted about his marriage and his role as a father. And so there's lots of things that are always churning with John Pilot, just like you and just like me. So for you writers out there, I hope that's coming through to the page for you. And for you readers, I definitely hope you're finding that in your reading of whomever you're reading. With that, shock that monkey, my friends. Shock it to life, as Peter Gabriel would say, in your writing. But in your real life, if something shocks your monkey, it sounds so funny. I'm thinking of Dieter from Sprockets on Saturday Night Live, touch my monkey. But no, I'm talking about shock the monkey. If there's somebody who's, yanking your chain, and there's another way of putting it, trying to make you afraid all the time, find out why. What's their motivation for that? I mean, is there a legitimate reason to be afraid about everything they're saying? Or are they yanking your chain so that you'll fall in line behind them and follow them because they allegedly have all the answers? And that's either party. Don't let people do that. Don't outsource your thinking. All right, somebody please help me off my soapbox. Is there a monkey in the room that could help me? I don't see a monkey either. Rats. Well, chapter 18 is done, and I appreciate you listening. We're going to try to get back on a more regular schedule with the podcast, and we so appreciate you going to pilotscross.com. That's Pilates cross, CROSS, pilotscross.com. That's the mothership for the podcast. It's also where you can find information about my books and how to buy them, get autographed copies, stuff like that. And of course, all 5 of my books are available on Amazon and everywhere ebooks are sold. And I would just love it if you are a new listener and you check out my books and write a good review or write a review. You don't have to write a good review, although I prefer a good review. All right. Well, thanks again for listening. I hope it was illuminating for you. And if you disagree, I understand. I'd love to hear more and understand more about why you disagree with what I said. And you can reach me on the Twitter at @A_Greenwood. Or again, you can reach me through pilotscross.com. There's a contact form there. And of course, you can also get on Facebook too. All right, this has been fun. I'm going to go play some Peter Gabriel music now. Though I think the one I'm really into at the moment is Digging in the Dirt, which if you've been in therapy or analysis, which John Pilot has been in therapy and analysis, Digging in the Dirt is something you should listen to. All right, until next time, I'm J. Alexander Greenwood. Keep reading.
A little flexibility can go a long way. By refinancing your new or used auto loan with PenFed, you can lower your monthly payments for more flexibility in your budget. You can even schedule your first payment for up to 60 days from the date of your refinance. Calculate how much you could save at penfed.org/auto-refi or call 1-800-247-5626 to apply. Membership is open to everyone. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA. Get a credit card that gives you what you need now. A low interest rate on everyday purchases and a place to transfer high interest rate balances. The PenFed Gold Contactless Card is our lowest interest rate credit card. You can even earn a $100 statement credit when you spend $1,500 in the first 90 days. Join PenFed and together we can help you keep more of what's yours. Visit penfed.org/goldcard. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.